Welcome to this week's edition of the Sports Pileup with Jeff and Jeff. This week we have Jeff Stomber on location at Soldiers Field. Hey Jeff, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I just left Bears practice. I'm trying to get 5 minutes with Lovie Smith here. He's talking to some other reporters right now.
What do you think the chances are if you get an interview with Lovie Smith, bro? Come on, we're the Sports Pileup.
Yeah, I don't think he'd have a chance of heck of getting this interview. I don't think he's ever heard of the Sports Pileup, and I see the NFL Network over here, so I'll see what I can do and end up getting in line behind them maybe and getting a soundbite or two.
All right, man. Well, seeing as you got plenty of time, why don't you kick us off with this week's agenda?
We're going to preview this week's championship games, and after last week, we saw some really exciting games, and we saw some shockers. 2 number 1 seeds going down, and now you've got 2 6 seeds in the championship game in each conference, and that's the first time that's ever happened. So these have been really topsy-turvy playoffs, and we've got some exciting matchups this weekend, and we're going to look to break down both the NFC and AFC games between Chicago and Green Bay and the Jets and Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, well, you're right about that, man. There's some big surprises last week, a lot of heartbreaks, but you got these teams moving forward. So what do you say we kick it off with the AFC, Jeff? Personally, I've got the Steelers over the Jets going into Heinz Field again. Ben's got the hardware. He's got the experience. Polamalu's fired up. You know, it really just comes down to that quarterback experience there. Pretty damn good defenses. You know it's going to be a real war out there at Heinz Field. I'm picking the Steelers by a touchdown. I think it's going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 24-17. What do you think?
The Jets won that game in Pittsburgh last month, and actually they didn't do much on offense in that game. They had Brad Smith run the opening kickoff back 100 yards for a touchdown in that game, and otherwise they were really shut down. I know they scored on 1 quarterback run by Sanchez in that game, but otherwise they didn't do anything offensively. And if you look at Mark Sanchez, when he doesn't get pressure, he's a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback maybe in this league. He's very efficient, and he can kind of play off that running game and hit a lot of those intermediate passes and even stretch the field. But when he gets pressure, like he did in games against Baltimore and Green Bay this year, he didn't do anything. He was awful, and he was not good in that game at Pittsburgh earlier in the year. They were struggling at that point in time. Even the second game against New England, he was hurried, forcing throws, and he was really out of rhythm, and I think that's what's going to happen in this game here on Sunday. Pittsburgh's front 4 is strong. They've got Troy Polamalu back there mixing things up in the coverages. I expect that Pittsburgh is going to bring a lot of heat on Mark Sanchez, and that's going to be the difference. And I still think it'll be a close game, but Ben Roethlisberger at home in the playoffs the last 4 or 5 years has been very tough to beat, and he is a big game quarterback. He doesn't put up the numbers like your Mannings and Brady's do, but he is a winner, and I look for him to make just enough big plays down the field to win this game for the Steelers, and I look for Pittsburgh to advance 21-13 over the Jets on Sunday.
Yeah, I think we're both on the same page there. Moving over to the NFC, Jeff, you know, we've got a very interesting matchup. You'd think these two teams, the Bears and the Packers, would be playing each other more often. I'm sure you have the stats on that, but this is the first time in a long time. I know the Bears are at home. They're the higher seed. You got a 6 seed Packers coming in here, but these guys are neck and neck, and this defense from the Packers, they are nasty. And Aaron Rodgers is definitely confident. I like the way he was poised in that Atlanta game. He really had that under control and then just stuck it to him when they had the window open. So I look to see a pretty close one here. The Bears' defense is also tough and capable. I think the Bears' offense is a little too inconsistent. They're not going to be able to handle the Packers' D. I'm going with Green Bay 28-17 on this one. What do you think, Jeff?
Chicago and Green Bay, these 2 old rivals, quite amazing that they've only played each other in the playoffs 1 time, and they've been playing each other for almost 100 years now. So this is really going to be for bragging rights with these 2 old rivals. And, these 2 teams played a couple of very close games this year. I think one was 20-17 in Week 3 in Chicago, and the other one was a 10-3 Green Bay win the last week of the season, and that actually clinched the playoffs for Green Bay, and they scored a touchdown with, I believe, like 7 or 8 minutes left in that game. So these are 2 very evenly matched teams and 2 great defenses. And really that first game in Chicago, Green Bay, I thought outplayed Chicago. Devin Hester ran a punt back in that game, which proved to be the difference, and they kicked the last-second field goal to win. And I just looked for Green Bay, who obviously Aaron Rodgers is playing great, and weather's not supposed to be a factor, although it is supposed to be cold. I expect Aaron Rodgers to have a field day against the Bears defense. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball too much against that front four, but I think Rodgers will continue his hot hand. He's not going to put up the numbers, I don't think, that he did against Atlanta, but I certainly expect him to move the ball efficiently down the field. And again, this is going to be a hard-hitting football game, and it comes down to quarterback play. I think Jay Cutler will make a couple of crucial mistakes, as he's been known to do in his career. And I look for Green Bay to win this game 24-17 and advance to the Super Bowl.
All right, my man. Well, thanks for your picks. Enjoy the cold weather out there in Chicago. Guys, we're the Sports Pileup. Thanks for checking us out. Be sure to stay tuned with us for the weekly updates, and as the season moves along, we'll be covering other sports and other topics. So definitely stay tuned to the Sports Pileup. Check us out on Facebook. Hope you all have a great weekend. Take care now.
Waiting for the end to come, wishing I had strength to stand. This is not what I had planned. It's out of my control.